The story kicks off in a futuristic jail where this show called Mafia is running. When the show starts, the game master lays down the rules for the players and the audience. 11 players are in this game, 9 regular folks and 2 mafia gangsters. But nobody knows who's who. The deal is, the civilians gotta find the mafia and kick them out the game, and the mafia, they gotta pretend to be civilians and stick around till the end. Every day, all the players vote on who gets the boot, and get this, that person's actually gonna get killed in the way they fear the most. The game master's drones, they come for the chosen player every night and take them to meet their maker. Whoever's the last one standing wins a cool $1 billion. If it's down to 1 civilian and 1 mafia in the final round, mafia wins, no sweat. Next, we see this super high-tech room where all the players are chilling. Soon enough, drones show up and give everyone a special tattoo on their wrists, showing if they're a civilian or mafia. Then the game master starts introducing the players. First up is Luca, this 85-year-old billionaire. He looks way younger, because he's into advanced meds and chemicals. Turns out he's a hardcore gambler, and he's in this game to bet his own life. His grandkids are at home, waiting for him to kick the bucket, but little do they know, Luca's will says they get nada if he dies in the game. Next, there's Eli, a 38-year-old engineer. He's got cancer, and docs say he's only got 3 months left. That's why he's in the game, to leave his family a ton of cash before he croaks. His wife tried to stop him because she wanted him to spend his last days with the fam, but he wouldn't listen. Then we meet 2 more players who are actually cons from jail. Their names are Butcher and Evan. This game show has a deal with the government. Any jailbird can join the game. If they win, they get freedom instead of money, and the government scores the cash. All right, so the game master's done with introductions and tells the players to reveal who they are, but everyone swears they're just civilians. Then they get 10 minutes to decide who's gonna get the boot from the group and face death. Outside, their friends and fam are glued to the TV, hearts pounding. Constantine here doesn't even vote in this round, but Mary nominates Killian, and Peter backs her up. Then Butcher realizes he's seen Mary and Peter on TV. Turns out Mary's a famous 24-year-old ballerina, and Peter's her biggest fan. Bad luck hits when Mary gets into a nasty accident during a downpour. Her legs get so messed up that the doc says she'll never dance again. Ever since, rain and lightning are Mary's biggest fears, but with some fancy surgery, she can get fake legs that are super awesome, and she can dance again. Only thing is, she needs a boatload of money, and that's why she's in this game. Turns out Peter's been selling everything he's got for years to give Mary money. Dude's crazy in love, and he's gonna die for her, mark my words. But Mary's crying because Peter's been stalking her for years, and she's not into it. The other players see this and figure she's got a supporter, so she can just eliminate whoever she wants. So they all decide to vote her out first. Right then, Peter jumps in and says he's mafia, but time's up, and Mary's the first one to get the axe. Turns out she's got a civilian tattoo on her wrist, so she was a civilian after all. Then her chair suddenly starts rising towards this big black sphere on the ceiling. Peter tries to save her, but he's strapped into his chair. As soon as Mary enters that mysterious black sphere, she passes out and faces her biggest fear. She sees herself trapped in a dark forest at night. Suddenly it starts pouring rain, and when lightning strikes, she bolts. Then lightning chases after her, trying to make her run towards a cliff. To escape the storm, Mary jumps off the cliff, but lightning strikes her midair, and she dies a painful death. In a flash, her body turns to ash and disappears into the sphere. Later, the game master announces that the first night is over, and the drones fly over the players, ready to find the next victim. This time, everyone chooses Butcher, and he starts cussing everyone out. Then his chair flies into the black sphere, and we see his mental health test from before the game. The shrink asks him a bunch of questions, but Butcher doesn't say much. He claims he's not scared of anything, but later says he doesn't want to die like an idiot among a bunch of idiots. Now, Butcher's final moments begin in the sphere, where he's in this scary pit of death. Soon, 2 huge wrestlers show up, and the crowd goes wild, chanting for a beatdown. In no time, the wrestlers start brutally beating Butcher, and he's no match for them. They're throwing him around like a rag doll, but suddenly, Butcher grabs some dirt and throws it in their eyes, then attacks them with a bottle. He keeps hitting one wrestler hard and takes him down, but then the other one shoves him. Still, Butcher doesn't stop and uses whatever he can find to attack his enemy. He breaks the wrestler's bones and kills him, but what the heck? The dude keeps coming back to life. After killing him a bunch of times, the wrestler finally stays dead. Back in the real jail, his buddies are cheering him on. Butcher thinks he's finally going to be free, but as soon as he takes a step back, he slips, and iron rods on the ground go right through his head, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, Peter's still pissed about Mary's death, so he says Butcher deserved it. A while later, the game master announces it's time for the next vote, but this time they only have 8 minutes. Suddenly, Finally, Constantine says he knows who the Mafia is. Turns out he's been having visions since he was a kid. He knows when he's gonna fail a test, which girl's gonna cheat on him, and stuff like that. Soon, people start calling him the Black Messenger, and when he gets older, he starts going on paranormal shows. He even gives the government advice during wars to help them win. His biggest fear, dying old. So Constantine says Peter's Mafia. Then Peter asks him if he knows everything, why did he let Mary die even though she was a civilian? Constantine says he wants all the money for himself and doesn't want to split it with any civilians. Now Peter thinks Constantine's the Mafia and he votes for him. Eli and Laura also vote for Constantine, but the other players vote for Peter. Turns out Peter was a civilian too, so Constantine was lying. Then we see Peter's mental health test where he said his only fear was losing Mary. But when the shrink makes him think about it, Peter remembers he's been scared of water since he was a kid. As soon as Peter's chair goes into the black sphere, he faces his biggest fear. Peter sees himself in a boat in the middle of the ocean. He starts rowing to reach an island, but suddenly his boat gets a hole. When he tries to plug the hole, he cuts his hand. His blood spills into the sea and sharks show up, drawn by the scent. Peter freaks out and rows faster, but his boat's slowly filling with water. Suddenly, he attacks a shark with his oar and kills it. The other sharks start eating the dead one, and Peter takes his chance to jump into the water and swim toward the island. But then he sees the islands disappeared. Soon, the sharks catch up and devour him. As Peter's dying, he thinks he sees Mary's spirit coming for him, and he smiles as he takes his last breath. Back in the game, before night falls, the players get another chance to choose someone to die, but this time they only have 6 minutes. Then we meet Walter, a 45-year-old military officer. He's fought in many wars for his country, but after seeing so much messed up stuff, he's deep in shock. He's in this game to let fate decide if he should live or die. Turns out, Walter made a huge mistake during a war, and a bunch of soldiers died because of it. Walter saw Evan's case on TV and accuses him of being a child killer. Then we get Evan's backstory. He was just a regular student who went out drinking with his friends one night. He was driving way too fast, and they got into a crazy accident where 2 of his friends died. Evan and the driver barely made it out alive, but later the other guy's parents blamed Evan to save their own son, and Evan got sent to jail. Now his biggest fear is dying in prison, so Evan tells everyone he's innocent and was framed. Then he tells Laura he's seen her somewhere before, but she says they don't know each other. Then Laura accuses Walter of being mafia, and Walter throws the accusation right back at her. Soon they're arguing, but in the end, Walter votes for Laura, and then Laura votes for Walter. Soon, Luca, Evan, and Eli also vote for Walter, and he gets pissed and starts yelling. Finally, Constantine also votes for Walter, so it doesn't matter what anyone else does, because Walter's been chosen. Then, it's revealed that Walter was a civilian too, meaning both Mafia members are still in the game. As soon as Walter's chair goes into the black sphere, he's back at the place where he made the biggest mistake of his life. He tries to warn his men about an enemy attack, but it's too late. The enemy quickly surrounds his team, and Walter's soldiers start dropping like flies. Soon, Walter's vision gets even worse when the walls in front of him disappear and more enemies come to attack. They're brutally killing Walter's men one by one. Finally, Walter steps out and starts shooting like crazy, but seeing his men die and the walls vanish makes him realize his time's up. In the end, the enemies riddle Walter with bullets and kill him. Later, we see another nightfall in the game, and it's time for the next victim. The drones choose Laura, and then we hear her story. Laura had a home, a good job, and a happy family, but she got hooked on drugs and her life fell apart. She wouldn't let her husband help her, and soon her son died and her husband left her. Now she's all alone. She says her biggest fear is heights. Laura reveals she hadn't left her house for 8 years, but one night when she was by the road, she saw a gruesome accident. Turns out Laura was the one who saved Evan and his buddy. Also, that other guy's parents forced Laura to lie in court. Evan's mind is blown, but he forgives her because the truth is out. He's innocent. Finally, the game announces that Laura was a civilian too. As her chair is going towards the black sphere, Laura tells Evan she'll be rooting for him to win. In the sphere, Laura sees herself on a plane flying into a scary black cloud. Soon, the dark cloud attacks the plane, causing major damage. Parts of the plane break off, and the ceiling starts collapsing. A flight attendant comes to fasten her seatbelt, but then darkness swallows her too. Slowly, all parts of the plane break apart, and Laura falls to her death. Then the players get 4 minutes to choose the next person. Constantine immediately nominates Evan, which starts an argument. During this, Eli realizes that Kieran and Kate might know each other. Kieran says Constantine's mafia, but Evan nominates Eli. Everyone's at each other's throats. Constantine, Eli, and Luca Luca nominate Evan, while Kate and Kieran nominate Constantine, and Evan votes for Eli. According to the rules, the chosen player needs the most votes, so they announce another vote. This time, Luca changes his vote to Constantine, and the other four vote the same way. At the same time, Constantine shocks everyone by voting for himself. It's the first time anyone's ever done that on the show. Finally, it's revealed that Constantine was the Mafia. When he reaches the black sphere, he sees himself going down a staircase. Then a man bumps into him and calls him Grandpa. Hearing that word makes Constantine furious, but then he starts coughing violently and mirrors appear, showing him aging rapidly. It gets harder and harder for him to go down the stairs, but as he reaches the end, Constantine suddenly starts laughing. He says he cheated because he's not scared of dying old at all. He thinks it's the most beautiful way to go. Well, another night falls, and they choose Evan, but then it turns out he was a civilian too. Kate's in tears watching him go, but Evan says he's not sad about dying because it's been proven he's innocent. Before leaving, he tells his mom he loves her a lot and apologizes for not being a good son. In the end, he sees himself in a jail in the Black Sphere, where guards are taking him to be executed. Then Evan imagines he's on a beach with his mom, but suddenly the guards shoot him dead. Now only 4 people are left in the game, and one of them is Mafia. They only have 2 minutes to vote, and they quickly start arguing. Eli says Kieran and Kate are boyfriend and girlfriend, and then we see Kieran's story. Kieran's a young dude who joined the game on a dare from his friend. The day before the game starts, he meets Kate, and for some reason, Kate feels so good around him that she tells him all her secrets. She says she's terrified of heights, deserts, and dreams. Then she reveals she grew up in an orphanage, so she feels like there's no one in the world to protect her. Turns out, Kate and Kieran didn't even know they'd meet again in the game. The players keep arguing for a long time, and finally time runs out. The computer chooses the next player, and it's Kate. As Kate is being pulled into the Black Sphere, Kieran holds on to her, and they enter the Black Sphere together. In the sphere, they see they're standing on a glass floor, and a terrifying storm is raging around them. If they take a step, the glass breaks. Suddenly, Kieran runs towards Kate, and they start running together, with the glass floor breaking rapidly behind them. Suddenly, the ground beneath them breaks, and they fall straight into a black desert. Then they see a triangle of light on a cliff and decide to head towards it. As they move forward, the cliffs behind them turn into giant snakes. The snakes chase them, and they run super fast, but then a monster appears. It's actually the result of Kieran's fear, because he's now most scared of losing Kate. Kieran tells Kate to hide, and he starts throwing rocks at the monster. When the monster steps in front of the light triangle, its body starts burning from the light. Then, Kieran notices another triangle hanging around the monster's neck. He quickly runs up, climbs onto the monster's leg, and steals the triangle from its neck. Then he uses the triangle to redirect the light towards the monster, burning it to ashes. After that, they see a stone with faces carved into it, and one of its eyes has a triangle in it. They put the monster's triangle in the other eye, and suddenly the stone starts shaking, and a path opens up in front of them, leading straight to a house. When they reach the house, Kate realizes it's the same orphanage where she grew up. She sees her mom leaving her with a woman. Then it's revealed that Kate's biggest fear was finding out why her parents abandoned her. But Kieran reminds her that none of that is her fault. Then everything around them starts breaking, and finally they're standing in front of the Game Master. This means that there's one civilian and one Mafia left in the game. Before announcing the winner, there's an ad break on the show. Then the Game Master reveals that Constantine was working for him, and they were using Kieran and Kate to find a way to end the game. The Game Master says they're still trapped in that dream, but the audience is tired of seeing players die, so he decided to show them Kieran and Kate's love story. Finally, the Game Master thanks them for participating and sends them out of the show. A while later, we see Eli return home and tell his family that he was the last Mafia standing, meaning he won the game. After that, he lived for 10 months instead of 3. Meanwhile, Luca also came out of the game alive, but he didn't get any money, so he kicked all his grandkids out of his will and donated all his wealth to Kate's orphanage. On the other hand, Evan's mom received flowers every day for her son, which meant that the whole country was mourning his death. So would you like to play a game like this? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.